Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and on Fridays, I like to share a card out of one of Stampin' Up's publications. It's my favorite place to find inspiration for card making. I keep all my old catalogs. Actually, I think now I have them all online, so I can just scroll through. But to find inspiration or get a starting point for a new card. And sometimes I just case them exactly as they are. Sometimes I make a few tweaks and sometimes I change a lot. This one, I just made a couple of small little tweaks. I hope you like it. And so let me flip my camera around and I've got a little something to show you and tell you about before we make our card. So the card I'm making today can be found on, I think, page 5 of the Sale-a-bration Brochure, and it's using the Daffodil Afternoon Designer Series paper. So I wanted to show you all of these fun designs. Now this is just a tiny little glimpse at these designs. So it's just there to remind me, okay, what exactly is in this Designer Series paper? Because once I see these little bitty bits, then I remember what the bigger picture looks like. So like this one is really cool because it is this design on one side of the 12 by 12 paper, and then it's also the same design on the other side. And then in the middle, there is a blank stretch of Very Vanilla. So I think that's pretty cool. And then the back is this striped bit. So seeing just that little bit there reminds me of what it is. And then these are all of the colors. I made an extra dot. Whoops. Those are all of the colors that are in the Daffodil Afternoon Designer Series paper. That's a mouthful. So my birthday is this month. And since it's my birthday, I've decided to send out a PDF of these files to everybody who orders $50 or more during February. So if you would like to do that, then just place an order on my online store. You will get a birthday card from me, a thank you card. You'll get to choose your free celebration item. And you'll get a PDF of these. It'll be blank, so you can fill out the ones that you want to fill out. I use these for inspiration on like color combinations. Aren't those 3 pretty together? I'm not sure I would have done that. Or these 4 even, or these 4. Like it's a great way to just at a glance get an idea. And you can use a punch. I've made squares, but you could do a different shape to place over those squares. And when I do this, I just cut out a square of the cardstock, and then I cut it in half, and I do it diagonally, but you could do it horizontally or vertically. And then I like to use liquid glue just because I really like liquid glue, because it gives me a second to get my papers lined up right. But you could also use Stampin' Seal. That would be completely fine. Just something to stick these down. And when I print mine at home, I just print it on cheap cardstock. I don't want to use my nice Stampin' Up! Cardstock for this. So, and you can print it. I do 2 pages per sheet, but you could also do it vertically and do just 1 page per sheet. I just wanted something small that I could keep at my desk. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. And I might even trim these down smaller so that they're 5 by 7. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, so that is what is going on there. And then this is the card that I'm making today. It is this one in the center here. And it says Happy Mother's Day. So they used the Daffodil Daydream bundle that you can get in the mini catalog. I don't have that bundle. I really considered buying it. I just had to stick to my budget, and I had too many things that I wanted. So I didn't get that. So instead, I'm using this Celebrating You stamp set because it has a Happy Mother's Day right there, and it's pretty much exactly the size that I need. And that is the only stamping on this card. So I have a scrap of not very vanilla. I have a scrap of vellum cardstock. So I'm just going to get that ready to stamp on with the Versamark. If you don't have an embossing buddy, we do not sell those anymore. So you can use a used dryer sheet instead. I'm just going to stamp this down here with the Versamark. Remember, don't rock your stamp when you're stamping. Then I have my white Stampin' Emboss powder from the Basics embossing powder. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over the sentiment. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but I did get a couple of little spots right there, so I'm just wiping those off with my thumb. And it looks like that's all that was extra. So now I'm just going to set it with the heat tool. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to set that to the side for now. And I'm going to get this scrap. You can see I did one earlier. I'm going to get this scrap of Daffodil Afternoon Designer Series paper. I'm pulling out my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'll try to set it where you can see it. So I've got my base plate, which is plate 1. Then I have plate 2. And then I have plate 3 that has been very, very used. So now I'm going to put my Designer Series paper up there. And I'm getting the Beautiful Shapes dies. And I'm using the second largest hexagon die. Okay, so that's cut out perfectly. Then I'm going to put plate 1 back on. And I'm going to grab that painted texture embossing folder. This thing, y'all, I love this thing. All right, so I'm going to use it on that piece of Designer Series paper. This is cut 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And then I'm just going to set that on there. And I'm going to grab plate 4. So I'm just using the number 1 base plate and then plate 4 on top. I'm going to pull this piece out and you can see all that lovely texture. Almost makes it look like a painting. Okay, so I'm through with all this. Let's set that to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And I stamped it crooked, but I can fix that, I think. Actually, I think I'm going to see if I can just leave it crooked. So I need to cut it 1 1/8 of an inch. So there's that. And then almost, oh, you can't see that. And then almost 2 inches. So I'm going to take it up to the 2 and then bring it back 1 spot. And look, I'm about to cut off the end of the word. So I'm going to flip it around and trim off just a smidge. and then set it back up. This is 1 15/16 of an inch. There we go. And then I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this piece to this piece. Just got to decide which way that is going to go. I think I want it to go just like that. And then I'm just putting one little strip of Stampin' Seal right behind, sometimes I need to use my fingers, right behind the words there. There we go. Okay, so since I don't have that Daffodil Daydream bundle, I'm using this small little dragonfly instead of the small little butterfly that comes in the Daffodil Daydream bundle. So I'm just going to stamp it twice. This is another sheet of that designer series paper from Daffodil Afternoon. Then I'm also going to, can't get it turned over. There we go. I'm also going to stamp, or not stamp, but punch. Just, all I need is the center of this dragonfly. So I'm going to, I'm going to just punch that. And then I have a scrap here. This is another piece of and this is just a scrap I had lying around. I don't know that I would cut a full sheet just for this, but I like finding ways to use my scraps. And so this is perfect. So I'm just going to cut the end here. And this is a detail that you may or may not have noticed on the card that's in the catalog. So what I'm going to do, and I did get this idea straight out of the card or catalog, and at first I thought, oh, it doesn't need to do that. It's just such a tiny little thing. But it makes a difference. It really does. So I'm just cutting the body off. I'm going to save the body and get rid of the wings. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Cutting the body, or cutting the wings off. And then I'm saving the body. So these are fine like this. You could add Wink of Stella to the wings maybe. They're perfectly acceptable, just like that. But watch what happens when we go ahead and do this extra, just tiny little step. My glue is new, so I'm afraid to squeeze it because I'm afraid it's going to go everywhere. There we go. A little bit more. Whoopsie. Big glob. All right. I'm going to use my take your pick tool to straighten that up there. Okay, can you see the two of those side by side and the difference that just having a little bit, just a little bit different pattern and color makes on that dragonfly? And especially once it's put on the card, I think that it really makes a difference. Like I said, if you don't want to do this part, it is, you know, a small thing and it's a little tedious. So I understand. I just like these little bitty small things that make a difference. I think I like it more because I have done this part before where I've made the body different than the wings. But I hadn't thought of using designer series paper instead of just like a solid piece of paper or a stamp or something like that. I thought that was really cool. Okay. So this is another one of those little bitty changes. So instead of putting this paper directly on my card front and wrapping the twine around both the designer series paper and the card front, so that's how they did it in the catalog, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to, let's see, I want it here. So on this side, about an inch or so from the edge, from the right edge, I'm going to take a couple of glue dots and I'm going to put one here, and from the other one, I'm going to put the other one right here. Then I'm going to take my very vanilla twine and I'm going to put it on that glue dot, wrap it around the front, and I'm going to put it on this glue dot. And I did end up getting my dots just a little crooked, but that's okay. So then I'm going to take this one, put it on the other side of that glue dot, wrap it around, bring it like that. I like doing this because that saves me several inches of ribbon or twine, whichever one I happen to be using. I think yeah, that looks okay on the front. If it didn't, I would have added another glue dot and just moved it over, but I think it'll be fun. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this and tie a bow. Right here towards the top of all of these flowers. Not the very top, but close to it. I'm not going to tie it too tight just in case I want to move it. And I don't want it too big. There we go. Okay, so now instead of just adhering this with liquid glue or Stampin' Seal, I'm going to go ahead and use my dimensionals. And I am going to use a few because I don't want like quite a few. Like really, I'm probably going a little overboard here. You probably don't need to use quite this many, but I don't like it when the card sinks in. And sometimes when it's embossed like this designer series paper will kind of fall in on itself a little bit. I want it to be as even across as possible, if that makes sense. So when I first got into paper crafting and I saw all the adhesives, I thought, really? Do you really need that many adhesives? Surely you just need one. But no, you really need that many adhesives. Okay, so on the back of this one, I'm going to do Stampin' Dimensionals again. And again, you probably don't really need that many for this small of a piece, but I like my dimensionals. Okay, so I'm just going to kick this kind of at a diagonal, and I want it to butt up to the bow, right like that. And then I'm going to grab 2 more glue dots, and I'm going to put one on the back of each of these dragonflies. then use those to attach the dragonflies to the card. And ta-da! The front of the card is all done. Super easy, but with some fun techniques thrown in. And then for the inside, this is totally great for writing on as it is. So I'm just gonna grab my liquid glue again. And I'm gonna add that. Thanks. Right there to the front. Or not the front, but to the side of the card, so that when you open it up, it's just like that. And if you don't have, if you want envelopes that match your card, you can get very vanilla medium envelopes from my online store that this will fit perfectly in. And one of the things that I really like to do, I don't have my designer series paper next to me, but one of the things that I really like to do is to open this up and then put liquid glue right up to the edge and over the center, and then take some designer series paper, place it over it. Of course, you would place a piece big enough to go across the whole thing. And then I'd flip it over and use my paper trimmers and just trim right around that envelope flap. So check out my blog, because I will have it on my blog. And you can see what I'm talking about and how it just fancies up your envelope a little bit. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this card from the catalog. If you have any questions about Stampin' Up, about paper crafting, about my PDFs that I'm sending out this month with $50 purchases from my store, or if there's a card from the catalog that you would like to see created on one of these videos, then let me know. You can leave a comment below, or you can send me a message. I'll have my contact information in the description. So thanks so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. And if you haven't already, and you want to see more videos, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Happy stamping.